after like 5th or 6th time, she would just bite me. Fine. Hi everyone, we're back. I'm C.
I'm Angelique.
Okay, so today's GuineaDad podcast is episode 8, Guinea Pigs Fight. You know, if you have more than one guinea pig, which we highly recommend, you will often see them quarrel, fight, you know, get on each other's nerves, and hopefully not, but like they might sometimes bite each other. Before we even start to get into the specifics, I want to tell you guys, for people who are not familiar with guinea pigs are very social animals, and they're very calm-mannered animals. Actually, I think most calm-mannered animals that you're probably going to meet. Meaning, I'm not talking about nervousness because they're very nervous, but they're most likely not going to bite you in most cases. So those guinea pigs that bite, they are in a special condition, and you guys have to. I don't want you to be discouraged because someone told you that hamsters bite. Guinea pigs are a little bit different. Guinea pigs are more mild-mannered.
You can't control when guinea pigs bite, but you can control why guinea pigs bite, which is why we're having this podcast in the first place.
Yeah, always getting to the root of the problem. That's always kind of what we need to do as the guinea pig parent. So most common reason guinea pigs fight is the establishing the dominance, and you're going to see this when you first have guinea pigs or when you first introduce one guinea pig to the other. And the dominance fight, it will be more severe for male guinea pigs than female guinea pigs, because male guinea pigs are, to start, they're more territorial, and they're stronger, and I would say in many cases their manner is slightly more aggressive than female.
Is that why you chose girls or no?
Could be, but I've never had male pet.
I feel like that happens a lot. Like, I've always had boy or male pets. I'm sure there's people that are like girls that have girl pets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm okay with boy pet or girl pet, but I told you guys the story how I adopted guinea pigs for the first time before, I think, right? This laboratory in the university, they had like 2 guinea pigs that were in the lab, but for one reason or another, they decided to not keep the lab guinea pigs anymore. Those 2 became were up for adoption. So I heard about it and I wanted to adopt them. But then when I kind of decided that I wanted them, one of the lab researchers or the students there who worked there, they decided to take the guinea pigs. So they weren't there anymore. So because I wanted guinea pigs already, so I went to get Peanut, right? But why am I saying this?
Wait, how do we get on this topic anyways?
No, I was gonna say something that's related. And
no, but how do we get onto this topic though?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm trying to think. And anyways, when I first got Peanut, Peanut was the first and only guinea pig, because I didn't know they had to be together, right? And then when Tofu came in joined later, maybe because they're female guinea pigs, or maybe because Tofu was so small. Tofu was like a baby, and actually Peanut was a baby too, so they didn't really fight much. But like 6 months later, I adopted Dumpling, who was already 6 months older than Peanut and Tofu. So Dumpling was 1 year old, and Tofu and Peanut were about 6 months old. When Dumpling joined, they fought like a lot. So Peanut was always the alpha female, even though Tofu's stronger than Peanut.
Yeah.
Tofu would not mess with Peanut because Peanut's always the big sister, right? So even though Tofu got bigger and bigger and Peanut always stays small, like Tofu was kind of like the enforcer in a mob, and then Peanut was the mob boss, right? And when Dumpling came, Dumpling was bigger than Peanut and about the same size as Tofu, but a little bit smaller than Tofu, right? Dumpling saw Peanut, and then maybe she thought she could take Peanut. right?
Yeah.
And then they would fight all the time. And Peanut has like this feistiness in her, right? And then she was ready to fight. It doesn't matter she would lose or not. She would just fight back. So this is where the problem is. When none of the guinea pigs back down, then the problems start happening, right?
Yeah.
So for me, luckily, there was Tofu. So Tofu was the problem solver because Dumpling kind of was bothering Peanut. They couldn't, kind of figure out for a while who's gonna win, right? Who's gonna be the dominant one or the alpha. And then I guess Dumpling saw Tofu and how Tofu always follows Peanut around and always listens to Peanut. And maybe Dumpling thought, oh, maybe I can take her, right? So Dumpling would keep bothering her. And then Tofu at first was just completely ignoring Dumpling, just walking away from her. And then one day, I think Tofu just popped. Tofu was like, no more. I can't deal with this. So what Tofu did, she literally jumped at least like 2 feet. Like Tofu was here, Dumpling was here. She jumped this high. I'm not even kidding. I was there. She jumped and body slammed Dumpling. Straight up, like body slammed her. And then after that, Dumpling just like went like super low and then didn't want to mess with anyone.
That makes sense because you know what's weird is I don't remember Tofu being so like active until like after like Peanut passed away, and then like I remember like all of a sudden like she was like really active and she was like
Super dominant.
Yeah, she was like super dominant and bossing Dumpling around. And like I always thought Dumpling was a more like feisty one, but then when like Peanut passed away, then she was like a lot more like submissive.
Yeah, because like Tofu now thinks, okay, I'm number one. I have nothing to be afraid of now. So Tofu got like very dominant right after Peanut passed away. But so after this, like indirectly, Peanut became the alpha because Tofu would always follow her, and then Tofu beat Dumpling. So Dumpling was always at the bottom.
I think like dominance is always a thing, and like
always a thing,
and like having like pets, because I had 2 dogs, Roxy and Rex, and they were like both the same age, but they were like male and female. And then I had them for like a very long time, and then we moved with my stepdad, and he had a dog too, and she was pretty old, so like a purebred Chihuahua. And I don't know if you ever had Chihuahuas, but they're pretty feisty, especially if they're purebred. And they're around the same age, and like they would always fight. Like the 2 girls would always fight. They were always fighting. I had to separate them. I remember one time I tried to separate them and I got bit, but not by my dog, by his dog. And like it wasn't just like a snap. It like she bit me and like held onto my hand for a long time. When she let go, I was like bleeding. So yeah, don't separate dogs when you're fighting. But anyways, I feel like if it's the same sex animal, they're gonna like fight. Like over dominance, so that's something that would happen a lot too with my dogs.
I just remember the story. So I told you guys I was volunteering at this rescue center, and one of the things that I had to do was I would bring one guinea pig one by one to kind of put them in the same area to see how they interact, and if they're a pretty good fit, then the person would decide to adopt this guinea pig. This one guinea pig, he was never a problem, right? He was kind of like mild-mannered and whatever. As soon as I put him inside the same area, he would try to he would kind of keep jumping on this little baby and then try to set the dominance, but he was really overdoing it to a point that I wanted it to kind of stop, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to start bleeding and whatever, because it was on the verge of this guinea pig biting and bleeding, and it was a slow-mo. I saw this guinea pig doing the motion and ready to bite.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, oh no, I can't let this guinea pig bite the baby guinea pig. So as soon as I saw this almost slow-mo in my own version, I kind of grabbed the big guinea pig, right?
The big one?
Big one. Because that was the one trying to bite.
Yeah.
So I grabbed, and then as soon as I grabbed, it bit me.
Did it hurt?
No, it started bleeding.
Oh shoot.
I'm telling you, guinea pigs usually don't bite, but...
I can't imagine them biting.
Right, they almost never bite, but what happened was when guinea pig is super stressed about something. So that was a super stressful environment for that big guinea pig, right? And then it was another guinea pig coming into his own territory in his mind, right?
Yeah.
So it was very stressful, very angry situation for him. So when it's that moment, guinea pigs will do something that you don't expect. When things are getting too serious, don't grab any guinea pig. Instead, what you should do is, for me, like I had to do that because it was like I saw it happen, right? I had to stop that from happening. It didn't matter it was gonna bite me, but have a blanket ready all the time, and then just throw it on them. As soon as you put the blanket on them, because it's like all like kind of
Balls.
which
Balls
one?
in like empty spaces.
Yeah, it falls in empty spaces and it kind of covers them. So they're first surprised, but then like all of a sudden calms down. And then because you have a blanket, you can kind of grab them and take them out. So this is like kind of a tip for anyone who's trying to introduce a new guinea pig.
I feel like also because they can't see each other, so they're like a lot more calmed down.
Yeah, that could be it too. But you know, if you have one guinea pig though, you should always, not always, but I still highly recommend that you try to get a mate that, you know, get along.
Yeah.
And if they don't, even if they don't get along, in my opinion, I think there are always ways to make it work. If you look at humans, like some sisters and brothers, they get along really well. Like, and I look at them like, how is that even possible, right? And then like, because back in the days when I was little, my sister and me, like we would always get into fight.
Yeah.
Right? But even so, even if we do get into fight, you know, we still love each other, right?
Yeah.
And we always have each other's back. I mean, it's kind of the same for guinea pigs. You know, maybe they're not like born to be like sisters or brothers, but they might fight each other all the time. They might hate each other like on the surface, but if they spend long enough together, they're gonna love and they can't, you know, be separated.
Yeah.
Right? And in order to help that, what we do is, you know, what we're going to kind of get into later is you can always play with some of the variables like the cage size,
Yeah.
the environment, number of hideys, number of water bottle, number of like amount of hay or amount of vegetables you eat, amount of like what kind of supplement you give. So there are a lot of variables that you can play around with. Getting back to the guinea pigs fighting, some of the dominance behavior that you will need to be alert about are chasing each other, lifting their heads high, teeth chattering, rumbling, mounting, and butt sniffing. You've seen all this with tofu and dumpling, right? Every single one, right? Yeah. Oh, another thing is when two guinea pigs are fighting, try to not interfere too much. If you have them for like many years like me, and if they start fighting, it's okay to go, hey, dumpling, stop. That's fine, right? But if you're first introducing two guinea pigs and when they start fighting, you have to just let them fight. You only stop it when there's about to be blood drawn or there is blood drawn.
Yeah, when it gets like super aggressive.
Right, but you have to make sure one guinea pig dominates the other guinea pig. That's the only way there's going to be some sort of peace there.
Yeah, like there's like a thin line between like them like showing dominance, like fighting. Well, not really, I guess like showing dominance, like almost like arguing, right? And then like them like actually fighting, which is like them like leaping onto each other, like drawing blood, like full like force aggression.
And you can almost see it in like guinea pigs' eyes, like when guinea pigs that is about to bite and try to hurt the other one, they have that like harmful intention in their eye. You can almost see it. You can almost see it from their body position too, right? If you guys are like dog owners, previous dog owners like me, you kind of know what I mean. Like, for example, when I used to have Siberian Husky, I have a lot of, I don't know if I can see it anymore. I used to have a lot of scars from getting bitten by her. It was all my fault. I used to always like kind of mess with her food. So, you know, I thought it was fun, but you know, you're not supposed to do that, right?
It makes them aggressive, yeah.
Yeah, I was only a kid, so like when there is a bowl of food, I would like pretend to give it to her, and then like when she's about to eat, I would like take it away.
That's mean.
And I would do that like a couple times, and then after like 5th or 6th time, she would just bite me. Fine. But then I didn't learn obviously because I had multiple bites.
Oh my god.
I always thought like, it was fun to like play with her, but that is something that you don't play with. Anyways, what I was meaning to say is, you kind of know, like with my husky too, you kind of knew like she would kind of, let's say I'm here and I'm the dog, and you know usually when you're trying to bite, like playful bite or kind of bite to warn, she will look at me and then like growl and bite. But when she really wants to hurt me, she will like look down and pretend to not see me.
Yeah.
But then like she's ready to bite. You know it.
Like she's not even looking at you, but she's like kind of like side-eyeing
you.
you.
Yeah, side-eyeing you. If you see that in a guinea pig, then you know they're about to do something bad. So just watch out.
I have actually a story about a dog fight, which was really, really scary for me. I've never seen a dog fight happen before, but I had this dog and his name was Rex. I talked about him on a few podcasts before. That he just barely passed away, but he lived a long life. But he was actually in a dog fight, but he wasn't like, he didn't start the dog fight. He does this thing where we like, when we go all together, like he'll run outside and then he'll jump in the car. He was about to jump in the car, but then I saw like in the corner of my eye, it was almost like in slow motion, this really big pit bull dog came like running. It ran at him and then picked him up by like the neck. And he was trying to fight back, but he's like a little weenie dog, so he couldn't really do much. But the dog had him by the neck and like was gripping him really, really hard. So everybody was like panicking, but all my neighbors saw. There was like 4 or 5, maybe like 6 people on this dog trying to get this dog off of my dog. And the dog's grip was just so hard on my like dog's neck that like it didn't want to let go. And then finally like it let go. We pulled my dog off like right away, and he was like bleeding like really, really, really bad. And like it was just like scary because I thought in that moment like he was definitely going to like die. Luckily, we took him to the vet. He got stitches for a long time, and he had like a little tube in his neck. And it took him a super long time to heal, but he wasn't really like fat. So his like fat was like what saved him. Basically, when we looked at the X-rays, like they were showing us that the dog's teeth were like super close to his esophagus, but he had so much fat that like whatever the dog was gripping, it was just all his fat. And yeah, dog fights can be super scary. That's something that just stayed in my head because it was just so like traumatizing.
That story reminds me of another story, but relevant to guinea pig. So guinea pigs are prey animals, right? And imagine that was a guinea pig, right? Pit bull to a wiener dog is similar to guinea pig to any other animal, essentially. Well, I've heard a lot of horror stories where some people take their guinea pigs to a park and all of a sudden, it's not even a pit bull, it's just normal, like small sized dog. They just come and kill the guinea pig. Just like you said, you're not going to be quick enough to protect your guinea pig when things happen, because then things can happen like super quick, right? So you guys have to be careful. You guys have to know the surrounding very well. And another thing is, it's not only dogs and other animals that are on foot, it's also the birds. Just hawk or owl or whatever bird, they can just snatch a guinea pig and just fly away. There's nothing you can do once that happens, right? That kind of bird situation, it doesn't have to be in a public area too, right? Even if your garden is completely enclosed, they can come down anytime. So like me, I'm extremely paranoid when it comes to my guinea pigs. So that's why I don't do any of that. But anyways, that was the completely irrelevant story to guinea pigs fighting. But another reason guinea pigs fight is when guinea pig has physical illness. When we are sick or we're hangry, we fight or we pick a fight, right? So same for guinea pigs. If they're if they have some sort of discomfort, then they will be cranky and start the fight.
I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where I don't know if they're farmers, but they're like cleaning like hooves of like cows and stuff.
Oh.
There's this one guy that was like cleaning the hoof of like a bull, and he was saying that this bull was like very, like, I'm sure bulls are already like kind of aggressive, but this bull was like very like more aggressive than usual. And it was because he had like this very long like nail in his like hoof, and he took it out, and then after that he was like less cranky. So I feel like that kind of makes sense. Like if you're like in pain or if you're sick, you're obviously gonna be more like irritable than usual.
If you have a guinea pig like Peanut, like the mood also depends on how clean the cage is. I spot clean every day, right? And like I wash the liners, let's say once a week. Then she's usually crankier when there's more poop around. And then she's usually more mild-mannered when there's no poop on the liner. And also, she's also more mild-mannered and happier when it's a new liner that's freshly laundered versus almost 1 week old liner. That kind of helps too when you're trying to mate 2 guinea pigs for the first time. it's always a good idea to make sure it's clean, no urine smell, no poop, nothing that's going to get them to be angry.
The next reason why guinea pigs could be fighting is because guinea pigs aren't like paired correctly. More often than not, when you get more than one guinea pig, they kind of have to be like, you can't just put them together right away. They kind of have to be like bonded. There's like a process for that.
Right, so technically you're supposed to quarantine them first for 2 weeks because there's a possibility the new guinea pigs has some sort of contagious disease. So you kind of have to watch the guinea pigs condition for a couple weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, to see if that guinea pig is healthy. Once you're sure they're healthy, you kind of put them together, but there's a way to help them bond before you even put them together. So when you quarantine them, there's obviously, let's say 2 weeks, one week or 2 weeks, you have like 2 cages kind of separated away from each other so they don't get transmitted, right?
Yeah.
But once you're sure they're okay, you can put them together for a couple days, maybe 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, where 2 cages is next to each other and there's only a wall dividing between them. That way they will get used to each other's smell more, right? This will cause them to less fight because they're more familiar with the another party. But without any of these processes, there are more processes other than this. But if you don't do any of this, and if you introduce a guinea pig to an environment this another guinea pig is already familiar with, then this guinea pig is going to register the other guinea pig as interfering and trying to take over his territory. And you have to make sure you go through the correct bonding process for new guinea pigs.
And we actually have a blog about that, so we can probably link it in the description. Another thing too is try not to mix like male and female. Always make sure it's female, female, male, male when you like pair your guinea pigs together.
Some people would ask me, can I just get a male and female guinea pig and I get a male neutered or female spayed, right? So they don't have babies. But that's also highly discouraged. Guinea pig is so fragile and they're such a small animal that any kind of surgery and even anesthesia itself, that has a potential to never have guinea pig ever wake up again. Yeah.
So people don't recommend to neuter guinea pigs.
Right.
Do people still do that, or like
people? I have seen some people do that still, but like from a vet's point of view, I would say a lot of the vets will also tell them, hey, try not to do it. But if the owner has already set his mind and has to do it, then there isn't much the veterinary doctor can do because he's just gonna go to another vet and do it anyway. I guess the fourth reason for guinea pigs to get into fight is a small cage. The story I told you about before, Dumpling and Peanut. Dumpling, that hierarchy was set when Tofu jumped on Dumpling, right? Dumpling automatically became number 3. But even after that, right, like Peanut and Dumpling will always kind of quarrel a little, like time to time. Dumpling would never mess with Tofu. But and Peanut was so stressed. It wasn't really about Dumpling, but it was about Peanut. So, and as soon as Dumpling was kind of added to the mix, when I used to live in Chicago, Peanut would constantly chew on the bar after Dumpling was added. And then she would like rumble strut, even though it's like, she would always rumble strut, like more than often, like longer than often, right? So it was kind of very apparent that she's not happy. At that time, I think my cage was 3x5 CNC cage with 2x3 loft, which is actually bigger than I think most people's guinea pig cage anyway for 3 guinea pigs. But Peanut was obviously not happy, so I was thinking, okay, Peanut maybe just needs more space. Right, so kind of the same approach that I do these days. I made another island under my computer desk with the cage and liner setup, so that they would free roam where they can free roam between the cage, the same cage that I told you about just now, and under the desk, and then they would travel between through the carpet.
Yeah.
As soon as that happened, Peanut never ever chewed on the CNC cage ever again. When people say, you know, my guinea pig has enough space because I have 2x6, which is recommended, you know, space for 2 guinea pigs or even more. For some guinea pigs, it might be enough space, right? But for some guinea pigs, if you're greedy like Peanut, you know, it's not enough. You know, some guinea pigs are more greedy than the other. Some guinea pigs
need more space.
Yeah, they need more space. They're more independent. I don't know what it is, but you know, some guinea pigs need more space.
You ever had to like share a room with a sibling?
Yeah.
I had to share a room with my sibling till like I was almost like 15, and then we moved, and then we all had our own rooms. But I feel like when I had to share a room, I was always like fighting with my sister because she's like younger than me, and then like obviously you have to like, you don't have no personal space, you don't have like no room to breathe. So once we had our own rooms, you know, then we kind of were like more at ease, I guess, because we had our own space. But same thing, like I feel like it kind of makes sense a little bit.
Did your sister ever steal your clothes? And
yeah, she still does that. Even when I go home to visit.
Wait, that's my clothes.
I know, she's probably watch us and be like, no, not. No.
Would she kind of often like mimic you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
especially when you're kids.
Like that's a lot of with having like a younger sibling is like.
I'm the younger sibling, and then I have a sister, right? So I have an older sister.
You'd borrow her clothes?
No. So as a younger sibling, like you always fight with your older sister, but you kind of always look up to her.
Yeah.
Right? So whenever she does something, it feels really cool. Right? So I'm like 2 years younger than my sister, so whatever she does at her age is kind of 2 years earlier for me, so it's not fit for what I would do.
Yeah.
Right, so you kind of follow her around, and if I do what she does, and then she would get so angry about it. Stop! Like, this isn't yours. This isn't what you're supposed to do. And then I think guinea pig's the same. I know Dumpling's older, but you know how Peanut was the alpha?
Yeah.
Dumpling would always follow Peanut around, and Peanut will get so angry about it. But Dumpling only does that because Peanut knows exactly where the food is. Mm-hmm. Peanut knows what kind of sign, and if I'm doing something in the room, and then when I'm I'm not even at the fridge or anything, but when I kind of think, oh, okay, they need veggie, and I kind of get up, Peanut knows. She knows like, okay, there's veggie coming. And then she would like weak, and then like Dumpling would weak with her. So Dumpling would always follow her, but Peanut would get so annoyed. And I think it's the same thing for guinea pigs.
That makes sense.
But when Peanut first passed away, Tofu wouldn't even deal with Dumpling. I think Dumpling was feeling more lonely than Tofu because Dumpling always used to follow Peanut.
Yeah.
So I think because Dumpling was kind of feeling lonely, she was always like sleeping right next to Tofu and always follow around.
Aww.
And Tofu would like kind of walk away, and then like when Dumpling is about to follow her, she would like kind of do that, like kind of scare Dumpling away, and then
like,
walk away.
Like the way you do with like people when you're scared and you're like this.
So
Tofu likes her space, huh?
Tofu really likes her space. She doesn't like anyone. So the last reason is the boredom and unhappiness. You know, if you're bored, you're gonna be unhappy. Actually,
can you be bored and happy at the same time?
I mean, I wish I can be bored sometime.
You wish you could be bored?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have to do anything.
I'm like trying to like put it together in my head,
like when you're so busy all the time, you wish you just
didn't have anything to do.
Didn't have to think
I guess
about
that makes
anything
sense.
anymore.
Yeah.
But for animals, I think it's different, right? It's always good to get them mentally stimulated all the time. Mm-hmm. And I know I can tell you from my personal experience with Dumpling that providing excitement in their life is extremely important. Dumpling, when I first adopted her, she wasn't very smart and she wasn't very active. Whenever there's something, you're supposed to react to it, right? React to it to your own benefit. So let's say I have a treat, then Peanut would climb to get it, right? Or signal that I want it, or weak so that she wants it. But Dumpling didn't have much of those responses, right? And then Peanut was and tofu were significantly healthier because, let's say, when they were going up a small step, it wasn't even big, and they were all very young, right? But it was only like 2 inches. Peanut would go up like super easily, right? Tofu too, even though tofu's heavier weight. Dumpling wouldn't even able to jump. She didn't know how to stand up. She didn't know how to jump. She didn't know how to react much. But that's mostly because when Dumpling was in the rescue foster home, she was kind of old, so she didn't have much to interact with. And then because foster homes, like foster home parents, they do their best to make sure they get fed and whatever, right? But because they have like so many guinea pigs, they don't have time to concentrate on like a single or 2 guinea pigs all the time, right? But it only took 1 month. It only took 1 month until Dumpling was able to stand. She would run and she would jump. She would do all these stuff that Peanut would do and Tofu would do just by following them around and doing stuff. One of the things that that's written down to encourage is like floor time, right? If you don't free roam like I do, then make sure guinea pigs get enough floor time every day, 30 minutes to an hour. You don't have to do something fancy, but make sure you interact with them, bond with them.
A nice big space for them to like pace.
Right. And also, it's in one of our posts about keeping them excited, but let's say you have a crunch condom, right? You can always decide that crunch condo to be at a single place. That's acceptable, right? But all you have to do is just spin them around or move them from here to here, like every couple hours or like every day, or change the position around, so guinea pigs will figure out the new position of everything. So if you have had like 2 Heidi's, one in this corner and this corner, try to switch it up, move it around, and that's going to also help them, help stimulate. It doesn't take much effort.
Always make sure they have a lot of toys to play with, Heidi's, within their guinea pig cage, and make sure that you're feeding them vegetables, hand feeding them vegetables.
Like you said, hand feeding veggies, hand feeding treats like pea flake, those are really great thing to do, because when, let's say, you can't always train them to stand up, you can train them to do a round, you can train them to step on your hand. Those 3 are probably one of the easiest tricks to teach your guinea pig. Yeah, you can definitely do that with a treat, and that in itself is almost like their IQ booster almost. So always keep them stimulated, do whatever possible to do whatever you can in order to keep them happy. So if your guinea pigs are fighting, if they're showing unhappiness, there's always a reason they're doing it. So try to find out why they're doing it and then get to the root of the problem and solve it. That's always what we recommend. Thanks everyone for listening to this episode. See you guys next week.
Alright, bye.
Bye.